Hey guys, my name's Alex Easy. How you guys doing? And in this video, I'm going to show you 10 lightsaber combinations that you can make in this game, or specifically just lightsabers in general. So let's start off with the first lightsaber that I want to show off. Now, actually, this is my lightsaber that I use in the game. So if you do want to use this lightsaber look, I will just show you the components on the screen now. So you use the Harmony emitter. If you want to do this in the crossguard format, you can use the Patience. The switch is Inner Cordova. The grip is Diligence. The pommel is Centauri Cree. And then for the other side, you have the Diligence grip, the Hunter switch, and the Hermit emitter, and finally the Patience pommel. And so that's how you make this lightsaber. Now, if you want to do the colors, you have the Coruscant white, the Coruscant white again, the Brosnium accents, the Gore Slug leather grip, and finally in condition you can have it in any way you want. So you can have it really ancient or you can have it pristine, but I personally like it a little well kept. So that is my lightsaber. And so the next lightsaber I'm going to show you is this kind of this very fancy High Republic lightsaber. So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. And here you go, guys. So this is the next lightsaber. This is a High Republic, very fancy version of a High Republic lightsaber, which I'll actually show you later in the video, a much simpler version of a High Republic lightsaber. And so this is what I think a High Republic lightsaber would look like. So if I show you the components, so we have the Diligence grip, the Patience vents, but you could change this to anything you want because I'm not putting it in the crossguard stance at the moment. You have the Diligence grip, the Diligence, basically this is all Diligence mostly, except from the pommel, which is actually a Patience pommel, and then once again all Diligence apart from the back end of the pommel, which is a detachment. So if we're going to show this off in the crossguard grip, you can see how that looks. And so it looks pretty damn chunky, to say the least. And so that is what I would say what a High Republic lightsaber would look like. And I'd probably put this in the good old yellow lightsaber, I think, personally. It would look really cool. So yeah, I'm going to show you what the next lightsaber would be. The next lightsaber we have here is almost like a Darth Maul inspired lightsaber, almost Kylo Ren looking actually a bit more like, but this is kind of like a darker version of what Darth Maul's lightsaber would look. And so it just has this very, this rustic vibe. And once again, actually, if you want this in, for example, ancient, you could do that. Or in this case, you probably have it worn because it just looks way cooler perhaps. And so if you want to see the exact components I use for this, so here you go. So you have the scrapyard vents. Honestly, I personally have this at the detachment vents, because if you actually check this out in this format, I think that looks really cool in my opinion. Then you have the scrapyard emitter, the duelist grip, the pommel, scrapyard pommel, the duelist grip once again, the scrapyard switch once again, and finally the scrapyard emitter. So yeah, at the end we have the duelist emitter pommel, which if we would put this in crossguard, just looks absolutely pretty badass, and that pommel at the end would probably do some damage. But yeah, that is probably, I would say, a really cool lightsaber for a dark user, and I think the best we can get to this is an orange lightsaber. I'm not in New Game Plus, so this is why we're not seeing this in a red lightsaber, but I would definitely use this for a red lightsaber. And so let me show you what the next lightsaber is. Alright, so here you go. This is the next lightsaber look, which is this very wild look, I tell you that for that much. Look at this thing, it looks absolutely insane. Like, first off, can we talk about the fact that this thing is red, gold, and green with a touch of wood color in there, which is actually insane, with that little freaking Rancor tooth attached to the end, which is just pretty wild in itself. But yeah, this is a pretty crazy lightsaber, to say the least. I think it's definitely had a lot of fun with this one personally, but if you really want to create this lightsaber look, then by all means, just listen in for a couple seconds. So we have the Hunter emitter, the Hunter vents, the Harmony switch, the Justice grip, the Centauri Cree pommel, the Justice grip, the Harmony switch, the Hunter emitter, and finally the Hunter pommel. And for the materials used in this, I use the Inquisitor red, the Electrum braided collar, the Kobo wood specifically, the green cloth, and in condition, well, you can have this in any condition that you really want this to be in. Worn would probably look best, but if you really want that pristine look, then by all means have it in that look. The next lightsaber we have here is, I think it could be a really interesting idea as well, which is just almost all black, but with a little hint of brass in there. Basically, this is supposed to be like an Inquisitor lightsaber, but like different. Basically, it's not supposed to look like any other Inquisitor's lightsaber, because obviously the Inquisitor's lightsabers are very circular looking. This is very different to that, but I really like this design and definitely uses a lot of unique components that I've never used before. Starting off with, we have the emitter, the Patience emitter, the detachment vents, which let's just look at that in the crossguard format. Pretty cool. Then I have the persistent switch, the Patience grip, the Patience pommel, the Patience grip once again, the Patience switch, so it's a little different on this side, and then the Temperance grip, the emitter on that side, and finally the Persistence pummel. And so if we were to look at this in the crossguard format, you could tell that, look at that, it looks pretty interesting to say the least. And I'll actually show you the colors for this. So I use the Inquisitor Dark Gray for the primary, the Plastoid Black for the secondary. The accent, I use a two-tone brass, which is unique because you could actually then see if look at the different unique looks for this. Also, I do like this two-tone dark, which looks really cool personally, but this one's the one I went for. The grip is also Blastoid Black, and finally the condition is pristine, of course, although you could have it ancient and it looks pretty badass. Although well kept is probably what I would have, but this being pristine also looks pretty cool at the same time. And so let's move on to the next lightsaber. The next lightsaber I have for you guys is actually a very interesting concept that I have, and something I was kind of playing around with. And so my concept for this lightsaber was Inner Cordova's Padawan lightsaber. Now, obviously you'd probably think to yourself, wait a minute, you saying that Inner Cordova lost his lightsaber at one point? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Like, let's look at it this way. Cal lost his lightsaber, Anakin's lost his lightsaber many times during the Clone Wars and before that as well. And so this is what I would imagine his first lightsaber to look. If you did want to somehow make this lightsaber, which I personally do like the look of it personally. So you have the Temperance emitter, the Temperance vents, the Inner Cordova switch, the Centauri Kree grip, the Inner Cordova pommel, the Centauri Kree grip once again, the Inner Cordova switch again, and the Temperance emitter. And for the end, you have the detachment pommel. And honestly, for the colors, you could already imagine. So this has Brosnium for the primary, white Plastoid for the secondary, a Rebel Blue, but you could honestly change this to any other color if you wish. The grip is the classic textured black rubber, and finally this is a well-kept lightsaber, and so there you go. But yeah, I do like this lightsaber look very much. I think if I was to not rep the other one, this would definitely be a close second. Let's move on to the next lightsaber. The next lightsaber that we have here is this kind of dark Sith lightsaber. It's completely, once again, all black. It's very different to the Inquisitor lightsaber that we had. This honestly would probably be like a lightsaber that like for example a Sith from like during the fall of the Sith during like 1,000+ years ago. That kind of event, this is what the lightsaber of the Sith would probably use. Like a very typical Sith lightsaber with that very aggressive emitter and having the very dirt-worn lightsaber with the very aggressive grip. And you can see even the lightsaber crystal inside, which I don't have the red lightsaber color here, but if I would, this would be red as well. And so if you do want to make this lightsaber as well, the components are as such. So you have the detachment emitter, the Jaro Tapal vents, the Serenity switch, the Duelist grip, the Centauri Kree pommel, the Harmony grip, the Serenity switch, and the detachment emitter, and finally the Hunter pommel. If we were to look at this in the crossguard look, you could tell that looks pretty damn menacing, with even that tooth being the highlight of the color, having that only bit of color in the lightsaber, of course. And so if we were looking at this with a dual lightsaber look, this would be a very long lightsaber. This would almost be the likes of, for example, a Darth Malgus lightsaber, which I'd definitely have loved to have made, but this is probably the closest I'll get to having showing you guys a almost Darth Malgus looking lightsaber. So yeah, this is definitely a really cool lightsaber look as well if you do want to make this for yourself. And so let's move on to the next lightsaber. And our next lightsaber we have here is a Wookiee inspired lightsaber. Now I really wanted to make a Wookiee lightsaber as well, because honestly the one that Gunji had in the Clone Wars was a very cool look for a lightsaber, and the fact it's made out of wood predominantly was such a cool, unique concept for a lightsaber. And so I kind of try to replicate that in this lightsaber. So the components for this lightsaber are as such: the Harmony emitter, the detachment vents, the Harmony switch, the Justice grip, the Serenity pommel, the Justice grip, the Persisted switch, and the Harmony emitter. And for the pommel at the end, for a crossguard look, I prefer mostly at best a Seer Junda look, which I actually really like the look of it in this crossguard look especially. Like, look at that. That is definitely a lightsaber meant for the hands of a Wookiee for certainty. And perfectly you could have this as a dual blade lightsaber as well, but probably this would also look pretty cool in a single blade as well. And as for the colors, I used copper for the primary, Greel wood for the secondary, Kobo wood for the accents, the green cloth for the fabric, and in condition you could have it either way really. You could either have pristine, which would kind of give the shiny look, of course. You could also get an ancient as well, but I don't think it would look at best. So probably around worn to pristine is probably the way you'd probably want this lightsaber to look. I'd say this is a very cool lightsaber as well. I like this especially in the crossguard look. It just has that very mighty feel to it, you know. But let's move on to our second or third last lightsaber. So let's get right into it. Alright, so we have this lightsaber as well here, which I took inspiration from, of course, Count Dooku, with that kind of curved, not the curved bit, but that kind of little bit that comes out of the lightsaber right here. That was kind of the part that I really wanted to use, because I've never used this emitter in any other lightsabers yet here. So if you want to make this lightsaber, we have obviously the Justice emitter, the Temperance vents, the Serenity switch, the Harmony grip, the Duelist pommel, makes sense, Duelist, the Harmony grip, the Serenity switch, and the Justice emitter and the Harmony pommel. Now personally, I would never rep this lightsaber with a dual blade or anything, because I just don't like the look of it in a dual blade. It looks kind of alright, but it's just, I wouldn't personally do it like this. I'd probably at best either have it single stance or dual stance, because then at least you have both of them looking very similar. But in that case, I'd only really use a single lightsaber. So yeah, I think I really do like this lightsaber as well, but it's definitely not my favorites, to say the least. I think I do prefer some of the others on this list, like the next one we have coming up. The next lightsaber we have here is the simplified version of a High Republic lightsaber. So what I like about this lightsaber especially is the fact that we have this Coruscant paint, but this Coruscant orchid color for the grip, which I personally really like. It's a unique look on a lightsaber in the purple grip. But then apart from that, obviously you have the very typical, you know, you have the plastoid white for the primary, electrum platinum for the secondary, the accent also plastoid white, and then obviously the condition being pristine. It would look pretty bad if it looked like that. That looks pretty cool. That's like something when you find it 200 years later and go, oh, that's a High Republic lightsaber, and of course it is. But if in this case, if you do want to also make this lightsaber as well, this is exactly how you would do it. So you have the Centauri Kree emitter, the Temperance vents, the Hunter switch, the Diligence grip, the Patience pommel, the Diligence grip, the Diligence switch, and finally the Centauri Kree emitter. And of course, for the pommel at the other end, for the crossguard look, you just have the Diligence look as well, which we show that in crossguard form. I definitely have to say it looks really damn cool, especially those vents being very short as well, just being below the actual emitter as well. I do like that a lot. But apart from that, this is definitely one of my favorite lightsaber looks. And let's move on to, I believe, is the final lightsaber for the video. And so let's get right into that one. And finally, we have this very Jedi-like lightsaber. Now, personally, I really like this look of this lightsaber. I think a lot of people like to deter from what a normal lightsaber to per se looks like, but this honestly looks really nice. And I think the reason why is because I think the colors here work very well. The very simplicity looks really nice as well. And so if you do want to make this lightsaber as well, it is very simple. You have the Hermit grip, the Temperance vents, you have the Diligence switch, the Centauri Kree grip, the Patience pommel, the Centauri Kree grip, the Hermit switch, and the Hermit emitter. And for the end was the Hermit one. So if we were to showcase this in the crossguard look, which I think looks pretty okay. I think looks alright to per se. I wouldn't personally have this as a crossguard, but you could also just have this in, you know, the dual blade, or I'd personally always go with the single blade because it just makes it even more like a Jedi's lightsaber, you know. Most Jedi don't actually have double-bladed lightsabers or, you know, even crossguards, because this would be a pretty insane design for a Jedi lightsaber. But yeah, and then this color-wise, I think would be the old but classic blue. I think that looks pretty cool. Just single blade that as well. Yeah, that is a Jedi's lightsaber, if I'm not wrong. Or if you do want to make it a bit more like a Jedi, or I guess depends, you could argue, you could just put on the Jedi Paul grip, which makes it even more like a Jedi's grip. Look at that. In general, these have been my 10 lightsabers in Jedi Survivor that you can make in this game, which I think are really cool in my opinion. So I hope you did enjoy this video and the 10 lightsabers that you can make in this game. I hope you might even use one of them, or maybe alter it around a little bit. This is just what I think will look pretty cool for each of these lightsabers, like I did show you a little bit earlier with the Jedi Pulse grip as well for this lightsaber, just make it a little bit more like a Jedi's lightsaber. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy this video. Don't forget, take it easy, and most importantly, peace out.